to this deck for the deck we're going to be playing in ranked this month. I'm going to stick with this one because I was moving primarily through different different decks last month, and it was kind of messing me up. And I've been playing the fully optimized version of Niv in this and on MTGO for the last weeks of August, where I was playing the Omnath list, where you just basically kind of want to play Omnath instead of Niv. And yes, it is probably the superior list, but it didn't feel like the old school Niv decks to me, so I decided to move against it. So we're in Dominaria United Standard, and we're going to be playing a Wishing in Explorer deck. So we are going to use, for those of you who don't even know this card exists, the Saga, the Raven's Warning. 3 mana Saga, first chapter, makes it 1/1 bird, and we gain 2 life. Incidental life, you're not bad. Chapter 2, whenever a flying creature deals damage to a player this turn, we can look at their hand and we draw a card. Affirm. And then chapter 3 is, you put a card you own from outside the game on top of your library. Now, on glance, this is terrible. This is a 4-turn shooter, because we go through the 3 chapters, then we put it on top of our deck. Unfortunately, our deck has a lot of tricks to get around that. So, one thing obviously is if we put a multicolored card on top of our deck and we have a Niv in hand, we can cast a Niv, pull that card into our hand. We're also running as many Triumphs as I feel comfortable having tap lands, so we can cycle one of them to grab it. We have incidental draw from Growth Spiral and other effects that we'll go through. And we can also dump the 4 of Widespread Thievery to just hit it from there and get going. So, we'll go through the list in detail. We have our Niv Mizzet Reborn. It is a 6/6 Flying Dragon, as you know, top of the library. We all know what Niv does. Flip the top 10, find one of each guild colour and put it in. That's why we're split with a ton of different guild cards. So, working our way down. We'll talk about the new cards that we're playing. We've already covered the Raven's Warning. And naturally we're using the new Dominaria basics because they are absolutely beautiful. And I ordered my paper copies to replace my Commander /Modern my Niv mana base, which you know I use for every format. Aside from that, we're also using this card here I discovered during the pre-release, which I bombed by the way, Joint Exploration. So it's 2 mana for an instant, scry 2 then draw a card, which is 2 mana Preordain, which is, as everyone will know who's played, Preordain is a pretty powerful card. This one has a very interesting thing though. If we can kick it for a green, we get to scry 2, draw a card, then put a land into play. So it's a 2 mana Preordain that can become a 3 mana Preordain / Growth Spiral smashed together. But the nice thing obviously is if we're really stuck, we can just play it as an instant speed Preordain on someone's end step. And with the current huge increase in black decks because of Liliana and Rakdos decks with discard, it's nice to be able to scry 2 and put like the big card that we need for the next turn on top, so it's not in our hand to be disrupted before we can cast it. Pretty decent play. So we're using this with our usual tricks to see if we can score enough ramp here. Now, just to clarify, kicking doesn't make the card multicolored, so this can't be hit by Niv, it can't be triggered with our Widespread Thievery, but it does trigger us Saheeli, another bonus, although it seems like everything triggers the Saheeli, which is great for us. So, let's go down through our deck of all our main core spells. So, we have Vanishing Verse for removing target permanents, Tyrant Scorn to bounce / kill things, Angra's Rampage for sacrifice. This card's gone up in my estimation a lot since the rise of the Gravecrawler Scavenger, whatever it's called, the card with Ward, discard a card. I think Edict's effects are going to go up in value a lot, particularly now that they have a Lily. This can also hit Lily, so we need more answers to Planeswalkers, as you can see from our deck here. We also have our Assassin's Trophy to, again, these are coming back in to deal with Lilianas, because Lily and Chandra are just everywhere in these Rakdos decks right now, so Planeswalker answers are a must. 2 Witherbloom Command, just good versatility. It can hit the permanent mana 2 or less, hits everything in a sacrifice deck that we would worry about, from the Anvil to the Oven. Milling an opponent's not great, but also just buying back one of our fetchable lands to just fill out our deck. Okay, but sometimes just killing a 1 toughness creature is pretty good as well. Single copy of Justice Strike for more removal. We have a full playset of Growth Spiral here to score us with the additional, so we're basically running, in theory, 8 Growth Spirals, which I will never say no to. And we're running a 1-off Hydroid Crisis as a reload effect, just an extra threat in case Niv gets answered or we need to just draw a few more cards and gain life. Particularly with the Widespread Thieveries here, we have an abundance of treasures if we go late game. Top decking a Crisis, we can easily cast an 8-8 or a 10-10 if we have to. So to say the Widespread Thievery here. We have Saheeli to produce our tokens. Wow, they've really... Wait, what's this? Is this an extract from the War of the Spell? Oh, yeah. This is an extract from the book. Yeah, we have our Stained Glass Saheeli here to produce tokens whenever we cast spells. We have Clothis for incidental graveyard hate removal. 2 Clarions for board wipes. We have a single copy of Edgar. I really want to go up to 2 copies of Edgar just to do the trick you used to do with Norrin, where if you had 2 of them out, you could cast a Norrin, then cast a second Norrin, which would exile the first Norrin, and you could do like a little trick to keep it going. Obviously with Edgar here, we can constantly flip something to make more tokens, so I might try that out. I'm keeping my few rare cards that I have because I'm refusing to put money into the system still. So I'm literally saving whatever we can get. Solar Blaze, another board wipe here. Probably should be actually a hard board wipe. We might change that. In fact, we'll change that right now while we're on, actually. Let's put in the Supreme Verdict. Put in a Supreme Verdict here. We have... Go down the Solar Blaze. How's our account on... Yeah, we will leave things. So you'll notice there's a Supreme Verdict, and we'll get to that in a minute. Alright, we'll keep the Supreme Verdict because it's just a good thing. We're running Driz and whatever his name is, the Elf Ranger. So, while playing Commander with this card against it, I discovered something that I misread this card completely. So, whenever a creature dies, if it had power greater than Drizd's power, you put 1/1 counters on it equal to the difference. I thought it was just a single 1/1 counter. So if we have this out, for example, and they answer our Niv because they're afraid of the flyer, this becomes a 6/6 double striker, which is very good. And the fact that it creates a token to protect against Lily's Edict is something that shouldn't be stressed. They're going to become higher value, definitely. With that said, let's view the sideboard. So, we have a ton of single answers here, so that if our Raven's Warning goes off, we can find what we're looking for. We have Unmoored Ego for combo decks. Bear in mind, because these aren't like lesson learned, we can swap these around, so if there's greater value to having them in the deck, we can take them in if we have to. Hidetsugu consumes all for graveyard hate. Supreme Verdict is a board wipe. Showdown the Skulls for some card advantage. Escape to the Wilds for the second card advantage. So here's the deal. Both of these are great. You might say, why are we running 2 of these? Showdown the Skulls is great if we have a Saheeli on the field. If we can get to the second chapter with Saheeli or Niv out, we can pump her little 1/1s, make them bigger. So there's it's incidental. It depends what you're after here. If you're looking for pure card advantage, Escape's better. If you're looking for incidental advantage, like I said, they're both situational. Big Daddy Coma comes in as our finisher against certain decks. Nice thing about it is, while it can be bounced, it can't be countered, and 7 mana puts it out of range of most of the effects that would exile it. But again, we just got to be careful. We have a Croxer in case we get into a certain type of matchup where we want this. Kaya as incidental graveyard hate gain on life and also an answer to small aggro decks. Ashiok, just great graveyard hate. Wow, the stained glass effect on that is beautiful. Clothis, small graveyard hate. Stimulus package is... I was trying this card last month, as some of you might have seen. If we get to a situation where we might have Thievery and maybe like 10 cards, 10 treasures, and we don't have a big payoff, or we're against a certain type of deck, I think Stimulus package might be better to just pump out 1/1s and just go wide, keep blockers. Maybe I'm trying to cover all my bases with the sideboard. We'll see how it goes. Outlaw's Merriment for incidental, same thing. Teferi, Hero Dominaria, just it's Teferi. What more do you need to say? And a Colossal Sky Turtle as a catch-all. So that's the deck. We'll jump into some ranked and see how things go.